what is learning? And you heard me yesterday talk a few times about definitions. I don't enjoy the word definition because I remember I have to learn it by heart and forget it. Not because I had to forget it, I just forgot. But learning, according to Václav Havel, you know who Václav Havel was? It's Václav Havel, Nobel laureate literature, and one of the founders of the Czech Republic. Yes, he was the president of Czechoslovakia. He says, learning is seeing connections and relations where we didn't see them before. And I thought it was, of course, straight ahead what I'm trying to do. Learning, for me, is about exposing, not imposing. It's about reaching to the children, because when you expose them, when you touch them, they want to get back to you. And otherwise, they just let it go over them. So it's the whole philosophy when they ask me, how can you summarize the way you do your teaching? Then I say, expose, don't impose, reach, don't teach. So it's exposing and reaching. And the role of the teacher is to be able to reach out to the children when they come back to you. You know, it's very difficult for a child when it has a real question, goes to the teacher. That's very difficult. Because that's the moment, actually, I look at it at the time when a child comes with a question to a teacher, that is decisive in the life of the child. Because children, they have to overcome a major burden to ask something from a teacher. That's a big step. That's not everyday things. But when they ask the answer, we have to realize we actually hold that child in our hand then. Because the question is, if we can reach back to them, and the reaching back to me is always that when the child asks the question, I cannot be the one who has the wisdom, so I respond to the child with another question. Because the child needs to discover. I don't need to tell. And so the question responded with another question, that's what we call the Socrates method. Socrates applied that. And we sometimes forget that Socrates did not know how to read and write. But is still considered in the Western culture as one of the greatest teachers. Because he was continuously questioning. I feel we have to give the children the means to learn and then learn with them. I mean, when people ask me, how can you ever be a professor at the Faculty of Architecture and you're not an architect? Well, I think after a decade of teaching at the Faculty of Architecture, I've learned a lot of architecture from my students. I think I'm a pretty good architect by now. And thanks to the CAD/CAM system, sometimes it's very easy on the computer. But we learn with the children. That's why I think a teacher who's been 25 years in the profession is going to be such a critical person, because that life experience of having been able to learn with the children is so clear. So we show the world, and we actually get the opportunity to discover new things together. And there are always new things to be discovered. Remember what I said yesterday, if we only teach what we know, no society can be better in the future. That doesn't mean we have to throw away what we know. I didn't say that. But if we only teach. And to me, very critical decisions are made in your mentalities when you decide to look at the world through the eyes of a child. When I learned that my factory, my business was so successful, my detergent business, my soap business. I mean, I was winning against Procter & Gamble, Unilever. I even entered the Japanese market and I took market there with my products. When I realized that that product was made with palm oil, and then that palm oil is coming from land that used to be a rainforest, and that I was destroying the habitat of the primates, the orangutans. I mean, I was devastated. But we were making good money. Very successful. I was very popular. CNN primetime news, I was there. So then it's very challenging that if I were to have looked at it from the adult and the businessman's point of view, I would have continued. Obviously, making good money, gaining market share, and my logic would have been, let's just modify over time and slowly adjust, continuing to destroy. That's what I call stealing less. Polluting less is polluting, stealing less is stealing. And my capacity to say, no, I can't continue now, was because I had a 7-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. And I was asking myself, how will I be judged by my children in 20 years' time when they know that I decided to keep on doing this? And of course some people say, oh, but other people continue doing it. Yes, but not me. And not only not me, I'm not only stepping back, but I'm stepping to the side and do something better and create that. So you saw that I've been working on the regeneration of the rainforests and doing things which are different. But to me it is very important to keep in our minds that when we sometimes have to take a step back and forget our adult logic. This is the way the world is. Things will change over time. Don't be too radical. Some of you know the famous song of Cat Stevens, Father and Son. Look it up. The discussion between a father and a son, Cat Stevens, which is beautiful because the father is telling to the child, be patient. Get married when it's right. Don't be so radical in your thinking. No. Sometimes there are moments in life where we have to take a step back and say, no, from a child's point of view, this is not possible. And therefore, I think when we can start looking at the methods of learning through the eyes of a child, and that's why it was so important. Yesterday I mentioned that one of the most important things a child learns is the difference between fantasy, vision, and reality. And sometimes they learn about virtual reality as well. But the capacity to see that is by looking through the eyes of the child. Because for a child, everything is reality. For a 2-year-old, everything is reality. There is no fantasy. And when you move on in life, and when you want to create a better society, you need some fantasy. You need vision. You need people who believe that it can be done much better. And at that moment, you have to use that capacity. I said that every one of us has the capacity of being a child. We still have. We have to wake up that little baby in us sometimes. And be playful. If it's fun, it's more effective. But learning for a child, I feel teachers are really the persons who are shaping the future. You're shaping generations.